Two hard hitters from DreamWorks that challenge and subvert traditional tropes in superhero stories and fairy tales, Megamind and Shrek. My name is Eleanor with Villainy, Sex, and Blood, Race, Gender, and Ethnicity in Pop Culture, and today we are going to be looking at the tropes presented by the films Megamind and the Shrek franchise. Megamind follows the story of the character Megamind, an outcast who decides that if evil is what he does best, then he might as well do evil. After accidentally killing his superhero counterpart Metro Man, the villain becomes bored and turns local news cameraman Hal into a superhero. This backfires when it turns out that Hal was an asshole who only wanted to become a hero so that he could force Roxanne Ritchie, local newscaster and love interest of the film, to date him. The movie concludes with Megamind saving the city from Titan, Hal's superhero alter ego, and leading him to receive the beginnings of acceptance from a society that had previously shunned him. Shrek is a tale about an ogre who goes on a journey to save Princess Fiona on behalf of Lord Farquaad. After rescuing Fiona from the dragon-guarded castle, they must make the journey back to Lord Farquaad to deliver Fiona. They get to know each other along the trip back, which is drawn out as Fiona cannot be out after sunset without revealing her secret. By the end of the film, the two have fallen in love. The franchise continues after this by following the story of their lives together. Before we get into the video, I'll begin by introducing the characters and the tropes we will be focusing on today. Megamind and Shrek. Both of these characters are the protagonists and title characters of their stories. They both embody a subversion of a hero trope. Roxanne Ritchie and Fiona are both badass female characters who are the love interests of the stories but challenge what it means to be the love interest in a hero story. Hal/Titan and Lord Farquaad. These characters are the bad guys of their films, who don't value women as people. Metro Man and Prince Charming are both performative heroes. Minion and Donkey are side characters, supporting characters, dare I say, minions. We will also look at the stories themselves as satire of traditional superhero and fairy tale stories. Our two protagonists, Megamind and Shrek, challenge what it means to be a protagonist in a piece of media. Both of these characters are outcasts from their societies who are forced to play the role of the bad guy. From a young age, Megamind had been an outcast from society. He wanted to compete for the affections of his classmates, but when he realized that evil is what he did best, he embraced that and became the evilest version of himself he could be. This life of evil continues until he is given the opportunity to make things right and fight Titan, becoming the real hero of the story. Unless we decide to include Shrek the musical in our canon, there is no information in the films regarding his childhood or how he ended up alone in the swamp. But we do know that he has been alone for a while, and he claims that this is how he prefers to live his life. He has to scare away mobs just to eat his dinner in peace. When he is falling in love with Fiona, he's very insecure about himself and was quick to assume that he had no chance with her. He is proven wrong when he finds out that Fiona may love him back. That boost of confidence was enough to spur him on to go get the woman he loves. These characters were both forced to not only accept, but embrace their roles as bad guys. Their stories are both stories of acceptance, despite many forces working against them. With Megamind, it's a story where he proves himself to Roxanne and society, earning acceptance from others. Shrek is a story of self-acceptance, despite insecurities and an unaccepting society. These characters also have a similar storyline where they don't think that they're enough and decide to hide in a human form. Megamind initially does this accidentally by transforming into emotionalist museum curator Bernard in order to prevent Roxanne from accidentally getting blown up. But as the two of them become closer, they begin to fall in love. Megamind continues to secretly date Roxanne while disguised as Bernard because he knows she would not date him as Megamind. This is confirmed after his disguise is revealed, and she explicitly states that she would never be with someone like him. In the second film, Shrek becomes insecure with himself again, thinking that because he is not what Fiona grew up fantasizing over, that he is not enough. He seeks out a potion that will give him a happily ever after, which turns them both into humans. These characters felt so alienated from themselves as members of their societies that they decided that life might be easier if they were to just be someone else. Roxanne Ritchie and Fiona are the main love interests of their stories, and they both challenge the typical presentation of the damsel in distress trope. Early on in Megamind, Roxanne is kidnapped by Megamind. She is completely calm and even feels comfortable enough to poke fun at how predictable Megamind is. She's completely unfazed by alligators, death rays, spike drills, and a wheel of boots that would presumably kick her in the head repeatedly. Her subversion of the role is only accentuated by Megamind and Metro Man, who continue to perform as if she is a terrified damsel in distress who needs to be saved. When Hal becomes a superhero, the first thing he does is kidnap Roxanne, believing that she will be in love with him now that he is a hero. During this time, she does briefly become a damsel in distress, but as soon as she is saved, she quickly switches back to a badass who helps Megamind defeat Titan rather than sit on the sidelines waiting for her man to finish saving the day. Fiona was locked away in a tower where she was to wait for a prince to come save her. At first, it seems that she did just that, but not long after their escape from the dragon that was guarding the castle, they are ambushed by Robin Hood, who believes he needs to step in to save Fiona. Instead of Shrek handling the situation, Fiona single-handedly fights off Robin Hood and his band of merry men. She never needed Shrek or any prince to come save her, and if we decide to include the fourth movie in our canon, then we learn that if Shrek hadn't come at the time he did, then she would have escaped on her own and would have become a warrior leader of other ogres. Lord Farquaad and Hal/Titan are both representations of asshole men who don't see women as humans. Lord Farquaad is a more traditional asshole, and Hal is a newer iteration, the nice guy/incel. Hal is the cameraman who works with and is in love with Roxanne Ritchie. She doesn't take him very seriously when he flirts, because she's not interested in him. When Roxanne begins showing interest in Bernard, Megamind's human alter ego, he becomes incredibly jealous. When he gets accidentally shot with a dart filled with a superhero serum, he is made strong, given a suit, and taught how to do the whole superhero thing. His first priority as a hero is to go win over Roxanne Ritchie, but when she doesn't want him, he becomes a bad guy. Hal was an incel, obsessed with the idea of a woman who in reality very obviously did not reciprocate his feelings, but believed he was owed something because he was nice to her. When he didn't get what he wanted, he turned against her. Lord Farquaad is a rich man who objectifies women. The only reason he wants to be married is so that he can become a king, which in itself is not a problem in my eyes, as marriage has only in recent history become about love. It's the way he goes about getting a wife that is so bad. When he chooses his wife, it's by window, or should I say mirror shopping. They are products to consume for him. He doesn't even value them enough to go rescue them himself. Prince Charming and Metro Man are characters who perform as heroes. Metro Man. He's the hero of Metro City, always saving the day from the evil Megamind. Since he was a child, everyone has loved him. But as soon as he sees a way out, he takes it and fakes his death. When we see him next, we find out that he's been hiding, playing music, and has no interest in going back to playing the hero. He's been performing as a hero because that's what he must do. His character satirizes other hero characters who are created to genuinely only have their purpose be to selflessly serve. Prince Charming's character is all about looks. From his first introduction, he is shown as superficial. While the third Shrek is widely agreed upon as the worst Shrek film, Prince Charming's actions in the film do show just how superficial he is, going so far as to create a whole play where he defeats Shrek just because he couldn't do it in real life. Minion and Donkey both appear consistently throughout the movies, but they were inconsequential to the plot enough that neither of them were necessary to the synopsis of the films. Their characters are comic relief and are only supporting roles to the main characters. I wouldn't say that either of these characters really challenge the tropes of supporting characters. They do pretty much exactly what they are supposed to do. DreamWorks is known for its films that challenge traditional Disney-style movies, especially in its early days, and both of these films do exactly that. Their stories generally follow the plot of traditional superhero stories and fairy tales, but the characters and presentation push it into a territory that is closer to making fun of them. Megamind is a superhero story about a villain where the hero just wants a break, and Shrek is a romance tale about a princess and her rescuer, but it contradicts a lot of the traditional tropes of classic rescue and romance tales. To me, both of these films are fantastic examples of taking a fantastic, over-the-top story, but still keeping it very real. Their subversions of traditional tropes create more relatable characters and plots. Very few people really struggle with dragon-guarded castles or dramatic battles against heroes and villains. Issues like self-doubt, alienation, and not being accepted for who you are. These are the real issues people can relate to, and these are the real issues of these stories.